Welcome, Pokemon trainers, to the first ever episode of In Today's Class with me, Professor Thistle. In today's class, we'll be taking a look at one of the most beloved starter Pokemon and number one in the National Pokedex, Bulbasaur, and its evolutions. Let's begin. Bulbasaur. Categorized as a seed Pokemon, it is a dual-type grass poison, introduced in Generation 1. From the day it is born, there is a plant seed on its back. The seed growing larger over time, and while it is young, it uses the nutrients that are stored in the seed in order to grow. Bulbasaurs can often be seen napping in bright sunlight. By soaking up the sun's rays, the seed grows progressively larger. It is found in grasslands and forests throughout the Kanto region. However, due to Bulbasaur's status as a starter Pokemon, it is hard to come by in the wild and generally found under the ownership of a trainer. However, that's not to say that it can't be found in the wild. For example, in the Let's Go games, Bulbasaur can be caught in the wild in Viridian Forest, whilst in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, it can be found through Island Scan on Route 2, as well as the Grand Underground in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And once Bulbasaur reaches level 16, Bulbasaur evolves into Ivysaur. Now, before we continue, if you've made it to this point in the video, I just want to say thank you. Please consider liking the video or even subscribing to the channel for future Pokemon content. And now, let's continue with the video. Ivysaur, also categorized as a seed Pokemon. It's a dual grass poison Pokemon introduced in Generation 1. Of its evolutionary family, Ivysaur was first created years before Bulbasaur, Venusaur, or even the concept of evolution, as it was one of the original monsters created for capsule monsters. Upon evolving from Bulbasaur, the bulb on his back has bloomed into a large pink bud, with a short brown trunk surrounded by leafy green fronds to support the bud. The weight of the plant prevents Ivysaur from running fast and standing on its hind legs, despite what you see in the red and blue sprite, forcing its legs to grow sturdy, and this is also reflected in its speed stat being a base 60. When the flower is ready to bloom, it gives off a distinct, sweet-smelling aroma, and it starts swelling. Ivysaur will also start spending a lot more time in the sunlight in preparation for the upcoming evolution. Exposure to the sunlight adds to the strength of both Ivysaur and its plant. Starting from level 32, Ivysaur will evolve into Venusaur.
Look, you guys, it's a Venusaur!
And finally, Venusaur, also categorized as a seed Pokemon. Like its previous evolutions, it is a dual-type grass poison Pokemon introduced in Generation 1. Venusaur is the game mascot for Pokemon Green, and its remakes, Leaf Green, appearing on the box art for both games. According to Ken Sugimori, in a Japanese interview discussing the Pokemon franchise, Venusaur and its pre-evolutions were inspired by frogs. Venusaur is also amongst Ken Sugimori's favourite Pokemon, however it is his least favourite Pokemon to draw, due to its complex design. Venusaur is one of the few starter Pokemon with a gender difference, shared only with Meganium from the Chikorita line, and the full Torchic family. Venusaur females, flower has a stigma, whereas the males do not. Venusaur's evolutionary family, so far, are the only ones to share a poison typing. Venusaur uses its flower to catch the sun's rays to convert them into energy, which causes the flower to become a lot more vibrant. The flower releases a soothing scent that attracts Pokemon and calms emotions. This scent becomes stronger after a rainy day. This Pokemon is rarely found in the wild, but it has been known to inhabit the grasslands. In a slight oversight, if the player chooses Charmander as their starter Pokemon in Red, Blue, Fire Red or Leaf Green, it is impossible to get Venusaur registered in the Pokedex without trading, as no NPC in the game uses a Venusaur under this condition. However, in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, after the player has unlocked the National Pokedex, Cool Trainer Albert uses a Venusaur in Knockout mode at the Trainer Tower. Venusaur has two other forms. It can Mega Evolve into Mega Venusaur using the Venusaurite, and it can also Gigantamax into Gigantamax Venusaur if it has the Gigantamax factor for its Gigantamax form that was introduced in the Isle of Armor DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield. That's a lot of the word Gigantamax, apologies. As Mega Venusaur, the flower on its back grows larger, and two smaller pink flowers bloom, one on its forehead and one on its rear. Its legs and its back have become sturdier to support the extra weight of the flower. Additional leaves with woody stems, which are supported by vines, are also grown around the flower. As Gigantamax Venusaur, it becomes a lot larger, with the flower blooming even further, to the point of it covering its body. These flowers have a taller bud along with extremely thick and springy petals that are capable of shielding Gigantamax Venusaur. More foliage grows from under this flower, and the trunk that supports said flower becomes shorter. And as it stands, Gigantamax Venusaur is the only known Pokemon capable of using the G-Max move, G-Max Vine Lash. And with that, that's today's class over, folks. I hope you enjoyed this episode of In Today's Class, all about the Bulbasaur family. If you'd like more Pokemon content, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video. It really does mean a lot. But until the next lesson, study hard, Pokemon trainers.